ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Cider Drinker Countdown. Now, the eagle-eyed amongst you will notice that yes, I have changed position for this particular video, and there is a very good reason why, because this is actually going to be the final set of videos that is going to be in our place at the moment, because my wife and myself are in the process of moving house. So the next videos you will see after this will be in our new place. So hence why it's in a new position, because we've actually sold our table that I normally do my reviews on. So I'm now relegated to the sofa for this particular one. But hey, what a better way to round off the year and to celebrate with the annual Top Cider Producers Countdown for the year. I normally do it in November, but things have been a bit hectic at the job recently, and I've not really had the time to do it, so it is in December. Why do I normally do it in November? Well, mainly because I started it then, so, you know, that's the only reason really. But anyway, for those of you that are unaware of how I do things here, firstly, welcome to the channel. I hope you enjoy my videos. And secondly, I do things a little bit differently to certain countdown videos and everything. So a little while ago, I put a poll up on this channel and on social media to basically leave it to you guys, because I currently have over 50 producers on my cider producers list. So I left it up to you guys to decide whether I should do a top 50 or just keep it to a top 20 countdown as I've been doing over the years. And it was a pretty unanimous decision to keep it as a top 20. So for your viewing pleasure today, we are going to be counting down the top cider producers from numbers 20 to 11. So, as I said, a couple of caveats before we begin for those that aren't aware. There are not going to be any ciders that I've had at beer festivals or while I'm out in the pub or anything that will attribute to the rating for these producers. It's only going to be reviews that I've actually done for the channel at home, so that's one thing. And the second thing is that I have to have tried at least 3 ciders from the producer for me to get an average rating. For them to actually make it onto the list. So if your favourite producer isn't on the list somewhere, then either A, it's further down the list, B, I've not got round to trying 3 of their range, or C, they don't actually do at least 3 ciders in their range. I will get around to eventually doing a countdown of top producers that only do 1 or 2 ciders in the future, but as I said, that is going to be a future project. Right, well, before we get on to the top 20, let me just do a couple of other tidbits, because on the list this year there are 7 new producers on the list. So yes, I have tried a lot of new producers this year, but only 2 have made it into the top 20. So let me read off the ones that have made it onto the list but not into the top 20. So second from last place in 52nd is Spa's range of ciders, which is made by Aston Manor, coming in with an average of 3.0. So yeah, pretty bottom barrel tier there. A little bit further up in 47th place with an average of 4.66 is the Fizz range of ciders. So I reviewed Fizz, I think it was Fizz Blueberry or something, or Fizz Strawberry, many years ago. And their Yellow Plum, and I managed to finally actually track down another one, which was their Blueberry, so hence why they've made it onto the list now. And then going up to 35th place with an average of 6.66, the devil's number, is Gwynter Ffraig, or Gwinty Draig as most people probably know it, the Welsh cider producers. So, I mean, 6.66 is just above average, so, you know, their ciders aren't bad, but most of them have just been sort of okay, to be fair, hence why they've just made it onto there. Then we're moving up to 28th position with an average of 7.0 is Nightingale Cider Company. Their canned ciders have been good, they have been respectable, but I've definitely had other cider producers that have produced much better ciders, but mainly their ciders are more easygoing, no real massive flavours, but just something you can really enjoy on an evening, or maybe just session a couple of cans of theirs. So yeah, they are still worth checking out, because as I say, the average is still 7.0, so that's still good. And then just barely missing out on the top 20 this time, in 23rd place with an average of 7.37 is Lime Bay Winery. They probably would have gone a little bit higher. However, I did try their Cider, which was their cider and mead hybrid, which has let them down slightly because that was basically quite bland. But the rest of their range has been absolutely fantastic so far, so I will be keeping my eye out for any other ciders that they do in their range, and I'm pretty sure that they will be going up on the list next year. So yes, with that said, we are moving on to the top 20, but before I do that, I do believe I've got, well, obviously I'm going to do the biggest riser and the biggest faller, and I believe the biggest faller this time is, yes, so that would be, they have dropped 7 positions. They were 29th last year, and they've moved down to 36th place. Is Rich's Cider Company, and that's mainly because I tried their, I think it was their mixed berry or their blackcurrant and lime or something like that. It's around that ballpark figure, which was, it was okay. It wasn't great. Some other of their ciders have been fantastic, and then others have been, well, okay. I've got a couple more of them in the drinks cabinet, so they will definitely be changing position next year, but that will be for next year. With that said though, and all that out of the way, shall we kick it off with number 20 for the top 20 list? I've got my coffee at hand here because it's going to be a couple of long videos, so buckle in, sit back, grab a cider if you want, and well, let's just see who has made the list and who's fallen off it, who's risen, who's fallen. Let's start off with number 20. Right, so number 20. These guys have been on this list for pretty much since the beginning, but they have gradually been falling down the list over the years. I think they were as high as something like 15th position at some point, maybe even higher. But yes, they are just in the top 20 this time with an average of 7.66. They were 18th last year. It is, and I hope you guys can see this because I've tried to get the camera angle right, it is Bemble with Care Cider Company. I will just move the camera down there so you can actually see the laptop. Ah, there we go, that's a bit better, and you can still see my face. So yes, Bemble with Care. For those of you that have been watching the channel over the years, you'll know that Bemble with Care have been pretty much a mainstay for the top cider producers list. They've been on there since pretty much the beginning. And I suppose one of the main reasons that they've not really risen is because, well, I have basically tried their entire range of ciders, and I highly doubt I'm going to be able to try any more of them because the head cider maker, Benedict, who very graciously basically sent over the entire range that they did to me, he left the company quite a few years ago now, and it's obviously under new management, and, well, basically I've just lost touch with them, so probably won't ever get a chance to try any more of their range. They have just released a new one. I believe it's a new one anyway, or it could be just a rebrand of their Apple Vine Pure, I'm not sure. But it's funny because I've spoken to a couple of people that actually live in Germany, and they actually attribute Bemble with Care to almost like the Brewdog of Germany now. Take that for what you will. I know that they have basically taken over Germany. They're all over the place if you look on their map on their website, so think of that what you will. I personally think their ciders are quite nice, and their strange apple vine cola actually does work, and it is an actual thing that, you know, people over in Germany do drink every now and again, so, you know, it's one of those things that you just have to experience, really, and I do recommend them. So if you're ever around in Germany, I'd probably check out supermarkets and things like that over there, because I'd imagine they're on the supermarket shelves and everything. I think the reason that people in Germany don't like them as much is that they're sort of more like crafty rather than you have your traditional apple wine drinkers, which probably wouldn't drink this at all. They will just go for the traditional apple wine, which is a completely different tasting drink altogether. But anyway, yes, so starting off the top 20 list is Bemble with Care. So will they be in the top 20 next year? Well, we'll have to wait and find out for that one. So we come to number 19. These guys have been on the list for a couple of years now. They have moved down a couple of places as well. They were 17th, but you know, 19th is still a very good position to be in, especially with an average score of 7.75, which is not to be sniffed at all. It is the Nempnet Cider Company. See if I can get the lighting right there. There we are. If you have, again, been frequenting the channel, you'll know that these guys originally were called Gibbet Oak or Gibbet Oak, something like that. But they recently, they rebranded to the Nempnet Cider Company a few years ago, and their range has drastically improved since that name change. When I tried them as they were Gibbet Oak, they weren't that great, I'm going to be honest. I gave them quite low ratings, but since they've done the rebranding and the relabeling and obviously the repurposing of the cider, they have definitely improved over the years. My personal favourite out of theirs is the Piglet's Choice, which is the red one there. That is a really, really lovely cider. Their perry is fine. I think that's the one that sort of let it down a little bit. It was a fine, easy drinking perry, but I've definitely had better out there. But again, nothing to be sniffed at. 7.75 is still a very, very good rating for the Nempnet Cider Company. I'm not sure if they've got any more ciders out there in the range. I don't know if it is just these three that they do, in which case they might be falling down the list over the years. If they do have any more, I'll keep my eyes peeled for them. But for now, they are sitting quite comfortably in 19th position with an average of 7.75. That is the Nempnet Cider Company. Right, well, number 18 has also been on the list pretty much since day one, and a bit like Bebble with Care, they have been just moving down the list over the years. They were 16th last year, dropped down a couple of places, and they've got the same average rating of 7.75. The only reason that they are, I mean, you could literally swap this company and the Nempnet Cider Company around those two places, because their ciders are basically, sort of the same sort of ratings. It is, and it's one of the bigger boys out there. Jump cut! Yes, I was just about to do the reveal, and then the tablet decided to fall over and knock my cup of coffee, so had to do a little cleanup there. But, as I was saying, so yes, the company at number 18 is Cornish Orchards Cider Company. As I said, these guys have been on the list pretty much since day one. And I still, to this day, haven't tried their entire range out. I mean, here you've got their vintage, their farmhouse, their dry, heritage, their pear. But if you scroll along here, look, they've got their gold, they've got their perry, they've got their blush. They have got a lot of ciders in their range, and there is still a couple that I've not yet reviewed. So they will eventually move positions. But I mean, I quite like Cornish Orchard's range of ciders. They are very nice. Some of them are just easy drinking. Some people would say a little bit bland. But then you've got others that are really, really nice. For example, their vintage is a very, very good vintage cider that they do. Some people say that they're a little bit too mass marketed. I kind of disagree with that. Obviously, if you do go around the Cornwall area, you are going to see these guys a lot more, but they're not on the same level as, say, like Thatcher's or Weston's or anything like that. You can't get them over in Essex, that's for sure. Well, actually, I tell a lie, you can get them in the local Waitrose stores, so maybe they are a little bit more mainstream than I thought they were. Either way, they are definitely one of the better mainstream cider makers out there, and I do recommend that you go and try them out. So, especially, as I say, they're vintage and they're dry. They are very, very nice, but yeah, the rest of their range is lovely. The labelling is simplistic, but it's eye-catching, and yeah, definitely a cider company to check out. So, that was 18th place for Cornish Orchards. So we come to the 17th spot, and actually these guys have dropped down 4 places since last year. These guys were 13th, and you'll see why later on, but they still have an average rating of 8.0, so they are still an absolutely fantastic cider company and one to check out. And they have pretty much been on the list, not quite since the beginning, but they have definitely been on the list for a fair few years, and it is Perry's Cider Company, Somerset-based cider. Now, if we were going to be doing a list based on cider producers with the best labelling, Perry's would most definitely be near the top. I absolutely love their labelling, just their vintage, making them look like a vintage stamp with different animals on them. I think their single variety is based on like birds, like you've got their puffin, their grey heron, and their barn owl, and then I think they've also got, that might be like their dry and their sweet, and then you've got their single varieties, which are based on insects. So I think their Somerset Red Streak has a stag beetle on it, and there's many more. I mean, this is just a taste of the range that they do. The only one that I wasn't too keen on was their OPA, which was their oak, pear and apple, so it was sort of like a blend. For me personally, it didn't work, but that's the only one that's given them a little dip in the ratings, because the rest of their range has been superb so far, and I know that there is definitely a lot more of their ciders that I have yet to try. Whether I'm actually going to be able to try them or not, I don't know, because as I say, they are a Somerset-based cider company, and you don't really see their ciders around this area. I have seen them a couple of times, but I've had to be really lucky to get them. And I haven't actually reviewed one of theirs for a few years now. Hopefully, I'm going to be able to change that soon. But sitting very well in 17th position with an average of 8.0, it is Perry's Cider Company. Watch this space for these guys. Now, actually, the next two cider producers also have an average rating of 8.0, so you could essentially move these three producers up and down however you want. I've basically just put this producer above Perry's because I've tried their ciders more recently, and that's actually thanks to Eric Bryan, or Derpy Derp as he's known on Twitter. With an average of, say, 8.0, they have moved down 4 places from 12th. All the way from New Zealand, it is the Peckham's Cider Company. Now, I've already heard that Eric is coming back over to the UK, and he's already said that he's hoping to kindly gift me a couple more of their range for me to try, which is very, very kind of him, very generous, and I really do appreciate that, because the ones that I have tried from Peckham's so far have been really, really nice, and their labelling is also very eye-catching. I mean, I haven't tried any of these yet. Homeblock, Phantasmic, Western Pathfinder, Bee's Knees. I know that they have a lot of ciders. I mean, a lot of ciders. They do, obviously, their core range, and they've got a lot of special releases that they do. They seem to be quite an experimental cider company, and it's really great that I'm able to showcase these ciders on YouTube, because otherwise I don't think they're going to be that well known unless you live in New Zealand. I know no one else around the area has ever heard of these guys before, and you know, fair play, because they are basically on the other side of the world to us. But any chance I can get to basically showcase and show off these ciders and these great ones to other people, I'd be more than happy to do it. So yeah, Peckham's 8.0, I would imagine they are going to change next year because of the couple that I potentially might be getting towards the end of the year. So yeah, will they go up, will they go down? Who knows, but 8.0 is a very good rating. As I say, they came on last year, and I can see these guys hanging around the top 20 for quite a while. So yeah, definitely keep your eye out for the Peckham's guys. They will be around for a long time, I'm sure. So the final of the 3 cider producers that have an average rating of 8.0 is at 15th place. Again, they have dropped down 4 places. They were 11th last year, but 15th place is still a very good position to be in, and it's actually ones that are a little bit closer to home this time. It is Pulped Cider Company. So no real reason why I've rated Pulped a little higher than the other two. As I say, they are very, very similar in their ratings, so I could have moved them up or down. It all depends. But I know for a fact that you can get their, I think it's their Flair, in local Tesco supermarkets as I speak, and it's great because they are definitely one of the best cider producers that you can get on supermarket shelves right now. Their level is probably my favourite of theirs, but I think it was their Unity, I think it was called. It had a blue cross on it, I know that for a fact. But I really love their labelling. They've got a little tasting graph on the side of the bottle that shows how like sweet or fruity or oaky the cider is going to be, so you can get sort of an informed demographic as to how the cider is going to taste, which I think is really good. It's simplistic, but I think it works really, really well. And as I said, the fact that they are actually frequenting supermarket shelves now is an absolutely fantastic thing. And I'm hoping that more people are going to be able to try Pulped and try out the rest of their range thanks to that. Because if not, people are missing out on some absolutely fantastic drinks from these guys. So they have got a couple of, or they did do a couple of limited releases. I don't know if they're still out there or not, but I know that there are still some out there that I have not tried. So I will keep my eyes peeled for that. And actually, I do have a bottle of Flair in the drinks cabinet right now, ready to be reviewed in the future. So their rating will probably go up or down in the future for next year. So watch out for this. These guys will be moving up or down, who knows. But yes, with 8.0, it's Pulped at 15th place. So we come to the one and only non-mover on the list this year. This guy was 14th last year, and he's 14th again this year with an average of 8.07. However, I can definitely tell you that this guy is most likely going to be moving up on the list next year because, well, he moved up last year, so I'm sure he's going to do it this time. It is the almighty Tom Oliver with Oliver's Cider Company. I mean, what else is there to really say about Tom Oliver? If you don't know Tom Oliver, then you've probably just started out on your cider tasting journey, because what Tom Oliver doesn't know about making cider isn't really worth knowing. He has just experimented so much with so many different blends, so many different apple varieties, and they've all basically worked absolutely fantastically. I had the honour of actually visiting his cider mill when I did my course over in Gloucester, a 5-day course, and that was just an absolutely superb day out. Unfortunately, Tom wasn't there, but his assistant Yarrick was there. Very well informed, got a tour of the cider mill, and obviously managed to taste a lot of his ciders and perries at the end. And I did bring a few bottles home with me, so yes, Oliver's cider will be moving next year. Whether it will be up or down, who knows? I'm gonna probably hazard a guess and say up, because literally his ciders are just absolutely fantastic. He does seasonal releases, he's got his core ranges, he's got his experimental ranges, and he's also dabbled in a couple of beer cider hybrids as well. All have been superb, and if you ever do get the chance, then Tom Oliver is definitely worth going to pay a visit to. So yeah, watch this space. Oliver's Cider Company is probably going to go up next year, but with 8.07 as an average rating, it's still a really good one, and that's why he's at 14th position. Well done, Tom Oliver. Right, apologies for the lighting change here. I've had to wait for the camera to recharge its battery because it just decided to dip down to 1 bar. But we are carrying on with 13th place. Now, this is the only climber on the list. These guys have actually gone up 2 places. They were 15th last year and they are 13th now with an average score of 8.07. So same rating as Oliver's, but because they've gone up, I've decided to place them above Oliver's. And it is Ross on Y Cider Company. And, oh, there you go, laptop, tablet decided to fall again, as usual. So, yes, it's because I have recently tried yes, it was a beer, but it was a collaboration with Ross on Y Cider Company. So, it is still fair game for me to include it as one of their things that they have done. Same with Oliver's, they've done collaborations with breweries and everything, but I'll include them in the rating for their reviews. So that's why it's gone up, because it was an absolutely fantastic beer. And well, Ross and Y are another company that know a lot of stuff when it comes to making cider. And they're also one of the companies that seems to have just an endless supply of cider coming along. I mean, the picture that you see here is not even a fraction of the stuff that they actually have on offer. So, yeah, I couldn't even begin to list all of them, but they've got loads of single varieties, they've got loads of blended ciders, they've got one-offs, they've got special editions, they've got limited releases, they've got collaborations with breweries. The list goes on and on. So I'm really glad that these guys have gone up on the list because they definitely deserve it. It's just the fact that I can't really get a hold of their ciders that often, hence why they've not really shifted in the top 20, and they've sort of hung around this area since pretty much the first time they came onto the list. So this is the first time they've actually gone up on it, but if I do actually manage to get any more of their range, then I would imagine they probably will go up. But I mean, they are facing some very stiff competition now with the other producers that are on the list, so it's going to be a very tough fight, but I would imagine that they might actually sneak up on the list if I get to review any more of their stuff. So yes, very well deserved. 13th place with 8.07 is Ross on Y Cider Company. So in 12th place, these guys were actually in the top 10 last year. They were 10th, so they have dropped out of the top 10, but they still have an average rating of 8.16, so you know, that's no small feat. So, yeah, these guys have been around for a fair few years, and I've not actually managed to try any of their range recently, but I know they do have a lot more. It is Turner's Cider Company. I hope that is actually coming up on the... that is actually appearing on the screen, you guys can see it. But yes, Turner's, I have, God, it has been quite a while since I've actually done one of their ciders, but they are a really, really great cider company. They're very, very, very simple labellings. It literally says who they are, where they're from, and what you can expect from the bottle. Sometimes that's all you need, really, isn't it? And some of their infused ciders are absolutely fantastic. The elderflower is one of the best examples of an elderflower infused cider I've tried, because some of them are just a little bit too overpowering with the elderflower, and it just destroys all the other flavours, but they have blended it very, very well. They did release, I think it was an apple pie infused cider, which sort of added like cinnamon and those sorts of spices. That was really nice. I think that was to do with like Halloween or something. I don't know whether it's still available or not, but their single variety ciders as well are fantastic. Their russet is strong and it's robust. I think it's like 8.4%, so it's definitely going to knock your socks off. And also I know that they have got a lot more of their range that I have not tried yet, so once again it's just a case of actually trying to, well, get them. I'd imagine I can still order them online, but the fact that I've got so many ciders I've got left to review might not be the case for the time being. But yeah, they're based in Marden in Kent, so it's actually not too far away from Essex, so I will keep my eyes peeled for the rest of Turner's range, and if I get a hold of them, well, I'm sure that their rating will most definitely drastically change. But for now, sitting very comfortably in 12th position is Turner's with an average of 8.16. There we go. So yeah, Turner's, well done. So rounding off this first top 10 list for you guys, in at number 11 with an average score of 8.37, just missing out on the top 10. They were actually 9th last year, so again they have been knocked off the top spot. It is the Garden Cider Company. Yeah. I was graciously gifted a mixed pack of their ciders for me to try, and I think it had like 8 or 10 of their range, so pretty much all of them, and they were all just so lovely. They tend to go more for blended ciders and infused ciders, so like for example they've got a dry hopped one there. You don't really see hopped ciders around anymore, unfortunately, because I actually do feel that hopped ciders work really, really well, and their dry hopped was definitely a great example of that. Their wild strawberry didn't taste like the sugary, syrupy crap you get on the supermarket shelves. It tasted natural, it tasted fresh, but to be fair, their traditional ciders are also still fantastic as well. So these guys definitely know what they're doing when it comes to making cider. As I say, if you like more of the fruit-infused ciders and you're kind of getting sick of the Crapperbergs and the Recorder shits that are on the supermarket and you think, where can I get something that tastes a little bit better? I would say look no further than the Garden Cider Company, because they've got a fantastic range. As I say, they've got wild strawberry, they've got rhubarb and I think it's like raspberry and rhubarb, you've got ginger and plum and ginger. As I say, you've got their dry hopped as well, and I think obviously berries and cherries. So yeah, definitely a load of different infused ciders to try, and they're all absolutely fantastic. So yeah, definitely recommend these guys if you're into more that sort of thing. And just, as I say, missing out on the top 10 with an average of 8.37 is Garden Cider Company. Well done, guys. And so with that, that is the first top 10, the 22-11. So those are the great cider producers. Next time we're going to get into the absolutely fantastic cider producers. So join me next time for the top 10. But until then, well, I'm going to be kicking back and, well, preparing for that next video. So I will see you then. Until then, take care for now.